So, should we start? Uh,
Whenever you know.
mm, okay, I'll just wait for 30 more, 15 or 20 more seconds just to see if others are joining. Okay, I'll start probably. Uh, I just dropped a message in the Meshery Slack channel that we are now starting. Awesome. Hey everyone, I welcome you all to today's Meshery development meeting. Today is December 10th, and this is a Meshery development meeting. In today's meeting, we usually discuss on agenda items from the contributor maintainers and community managers. So yeah, and those who are new, I'm guessing like most of the people I'm seeing right now are already familiar with Mishri. But in case if you are not aware of the Mishri, you can check out the Mishri talks.mishri.io or play.mishri.io. And Mishri is also a CNCF project, CNCF sandbox project. So before starting, yeah, we do make sure that you add your names in the attendees list. So I'll share the link in the chat so that you can add your name.
Yeah.
Also, the second thing would be if you can open your webcam, would be really, really nice because it's always nice to chat with the faces instead of the voice. So don't worry about how your ear looks like. My hairs are right now messy, so but it's fine. You can open your webcam and it's a great way to connect with the other maintainers and contributors and show them your face. And yeah, so before we start, anyone new would like to give an introduction, quick introduction to the maintainers or contributors? You can just say hi, where you're calling from. Yeah.
Hey, hi.
Hey, Nan.
I'm Nan. I'm from India. I'm a pre-final at Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur, and yeah, would love to contribute and have a really nice experience till now, and would love to continue the same.
Thank you, Nan. Nice to meet you. Anyone else would like to give a quick introduction, like Nan?
So, hello, myself Safia Nasir from Indian Institute of Information Technology, Lucknow. Right now, pursuing BTech in Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence, and very much happy to contribute forwarding in the Meshery. Yeah, this is.
Hello, Safia. I think we missed your introduction because your voice was too low. Maybe you would like to say it again. Maybe you can put your mic near to your face.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah, so myself Safia Nasir from Indian Institute of Information Technology, Lucknow. Right now, I'm pursuing BTech in Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence. And also I have contributed in some projects. Also I have been a finalist in some hackathons as well, and looking forward to contribute in the Meshery. I'm focusing on the open source contribution right now.
Thank you for the introduction. Nice to have you, Safia. And hopefully you will learn from today's call as well. Thank you. Anyone else would like to go and give a quick introduction? Who is new to today's call? Maybe Ayan, I see, Sujal, or
May I start?
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So this is Suhail, and I am a contributor. I have previously contributed to Open Healthcare Network, which is a open healthcare network, which was a front-end project. It was actually a front-end project, and currently I am in the final year of my graduation, and I'm pursuing BTech from with computer science, and I write code in Go, TypeScript, JavaScript, and that's it.
Thank you, Soil. Nice to have you here. And yeah, anybody else? I'll wait for 5, 10 more seconds just in case if we miss someone. Um,
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
yeah. Hey, Anne.
Can I go? Hey,
Yeah,
hi.
yeah, sure.
So yeah, I'm pursuing MCA right now, and I'm also new to open source and contribution. I have contributed in the past, but now I'm doing it like in a way where I can actually learn and real have a quality PR contribution. So yeah, my skills are basically full stack, and I'm interested in DevOps and backend. So yeah.
Thank you, Anne. Nice to have you here today as well. I think Sujal, you were going. Yep.
Hello. My name. Hello.
Hey, Sujal, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry. Hello. My name is Sujal Tripathi. I am currently pursuing my computer engineering from CK Pithwala College, Surat. I have a skill in Munstack, and I also participated in Hacktoberfest, where I got the merchandise of Digital Ocean and Super Contributor badge, and means contributing so largely on very different organizations. And now I am focusing on developing the Meshery organization to make my presence on Meshery also. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujal. Nice to have you here again. And yeah, so in just in case if we miss someone's introduction, I'll highly suggest you have that introduction in the chat. You just put your
Hey,
name, what you do,
Yash.
where you're calling from. Yeah.
Well, I
Hey, Sujal.
have introduced myself in the past. Also, I've introduced myself in one or two meetings earlier. Just giving a quick intro. So I'm Saurabh. I've been contributing to Meshery repository from past almost 3 weeks. I'm currently
Mhm.
working on some issues with Lee Calcott and other people's also. So yeah, that's a bit about me. I'm already a part of this community. So just learning here.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Saurabh.
Yeah.
Just in case, yeah, those who are new, I'll highly suggest you all to open your webcam if possible. And don't worry about getting, messy hairs or something. I highly suggest you open your webcam. That's how you start
Yeah, well, I'm also
good
trying
progression
to
with your.
turn my webcam on, but it's not happening. I don't know why. What's the issue?
Yeah, just in
I'm
case if
looking
you are
into it.
having issue, that's fine. But if you can, that would be really, really nice. Awesome. So we'll kickstart with our meeting today. Just in case if someone
Yeah.
missed giving their introduction, please feel free to do that in the chat, and we'll definitely interact with you there. So let's start with our. I think we have an announcement of the try the new Docker extension. We already covered last week. If you were in the last week meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but if someone would like to check on the blog post, you can check out the blog post on docker.com. But I'll ask Abid if there is any new update, if I'm missing something on this particular update on the announcement side.
Yeah, there's not much of an update, but yeah, let me quickly go through it. So I think last week on the Mesh call, we talked about the new extension that we launched for Canvas and how this is helpful and how it works. So now there's also a blog post out live on the Docker website. So on the blog, talking about this extension and how this can be helpful in your day-to-day like DevOps work. And so if you go through this blog post, you know like how like Meshery or particularly Canvas ties into your workflow, and how it helps from go you from like just managing local Docker Compose files to just everything on cloud native right directly from your Docker desktop, and how it makes everything a seamless experience. So this extension is live, and I think it has been live for a couple of months now, actually, the extension, but we are not officially released. So you can just go to your, like if your Docker desktop installed, you can go to the extension section and search for Canvas and install it. There is also another extension called Meshes, which you sometimes get confused between, but these are like two different extensions for different experiences. So this one is particularly for Canvas. So it's just the name is Canvas for this extension, and you can install it and it would readily drop you into the Canvas. So if you click on the extension, it would show you a home page which like to launch the Canvas app, and also to kind of just quickly import a Docker Compose and convert to it Kubernetes manifest or like to a design. So you can just directly go into Canvas from this extension and start using Canvas. And there's like everything you used to do on Canvas.new, you can do directly from here. You reuse your existing account that you might have with layer5.io, and you can layer5 cloud, and you can use that account to sign into Canvas and start using. So you would be using all of your existing designs, organizations, workspace. So it won't be like you don't need to start from scratch. So if you had some work that you might have done on Canvas.new or even on Playground, because if you're sharing the same user account, you should be able to continue right from here. And this is kind of an more local approach, because you can now with here you can also like use the operator mode, which is not directly available on canvas.new because it's a hosted environment. So you can now use your local Kubernetes, or like we last time talked about, like you can have the Kubernetes hosted anywhere, whether it's your local Kubernetes, your Kubernetes on Docker desktop, or your Kubernetes on AKS, GK, or any other remote cloud, or you might have hosted Kubernetes on bare metal somewhere. If you have access to a kube config that's public, you can import it right into the Canvas from this small Kubernetes button right at the top, and you can start visualizing your existing cluster and managing your existing cluster. You can deploy new things to it, and you can also like basically do multi-cloud things. So if you have access to GCP, AWS, you can use use the Canvas to kind of interact with them and orchestrate and manage a multi-cloud environment right from there. And so yeah, this blog post is pretty nice. Like if you go through this blog post, you would know like the high-level features of Canvas and why it's helpful, and kind of like the intention behind different features and how to use them. So you would go, about how the relationships work a bit, and other intelligence that's back into the Canvas. So yeah, please give it a read.
Thank you, Abid. Does anyone have any question? Would like to ask like what
Well,
Meshery extension is,
yeah.
or yep.
Well, that was a very overwhelming intro about the, Docker extension part. I would definitely prefer to read the concept which Lee Calcott is telling us to, have a quick read about it personally. I'll have
Yeah,
questions,
awesome.
but I currently do not have. So yeah,
Yeah, great.
just
Yeah,
figuring
Thank you so
out.
much.
give this blog post a read, and yeah, just install the extension and try it. Yeah, give it a test. And yeah, you can then talk about your experience also. Yeah, and if you find any bugs or have some feedback, yeah, that's also welcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other questions?
No, I did have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, I actually installed it and I uploaded a Docker compose file, and it says me that it has been uploaded, but I don't see it in my playground, or like where should I see it?
So yeah, like once you upload there are a couple of ways to upload a Docker Compose file. So if you directly upload it from this home page, like the one that showed right here, so if you
Yes.
upload from this here, after it, sometime like once the compose file is uploaded, it will show a small notification right down here, like the design has been uploaded, and inside the recent designs, it would get updated. So your item would show up in here, and it would have some random name like Canvas 99 or something, like some random name, and it should show up here. And the other ways to like import is like if you first launch the canvas, then you can like directly drag and drop onto the canvas
Yeah,
your
I
Docker
actually
file,
imported
and
it.
then it would render.
I actually imported it in the home page, like the
Yeah.
Canvas web page, and it is working perfectly fine. But when I try to import it via the Docker extension, then I am not seeing it.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think like maybe after the call, if you share it on the Slack, maybe there is a bug or something.
Okay.
But yeah, usually it should show up here. Like once you import, after some time, it should show up. Maybe there's some issue with internet or something. But yeah, it should show up in the recent designs, and you should be able to click it and go to there. Yeah. Yeah, let's make sure
Yeah,
after the call that it's working for you.
Any other question for Abid? Just in case if you don't know about the Meshery extension, about the canvas, I'll highly suggest to go and try the canvas by yourself. Would be nice to have your questions. Yeah, Abid, anything else would you like to cover before we move forward?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think we are done.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So we covered this particular part, and before starting, I just want to ask: do we want to go forward with? Do we want to cover the release in progress for the 0.9, or uh,
No, I don't, but that doesn't mean that other people wouldn't want to. I don't just because no one here, including me, is making progress on getting it over the hump. So yeah.
we'll get back on it. Yeah. Awesome. So for now I'll skip the Mark update since he's not here. I'll go forward with the Tejas. Tejas, would you like to cover your update on the PTE test?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, you are sharing your screen. Should I like explain it from there only?
If you want to share, you can share your screen, or if this helps you, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to hear about the review regarding my BATS file. All right, I'll share my.
Yeah. Matthew, do we have Matthew today?
Yeah.
Matthew, would you like to give any feedback to Tejas on this VR?
For this one, yes. I think that I have already approved the pull request. I just um, told him to present it in the dev meeting, but after all review and comments, everything looks good to me now. So I will be after the meeting. I will be able to merge up the pull request. And like I said, good job.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for the review. I mean, I
Perhaps
apologize.
that's one thing that I have mentioned in the reviews is that for this part we are doing end-to-end testing. So basically, we really need to try Meshery shell against a Meshery server running to be sure that the CLI is behaving like we accepted. And yes, that's it.
All right, so I'll tell one thing. When I was starting to, write bats file or something like that, it sometimes it while working with the kube config part, it sometimes edits the kube config entirely and makes up a big mess. I really had this doubt in my mind that while communicating with the bats and the config part ones for prerequisites of our Meshery platform, it kind of edits the file sometimes, the config ones.
I don't get
So
that point. It's just only a framework that run bash scripts, and I don't think it should modify anything. We have already some tests running with bats with and Kubernetes to validate the that mesh receiver is running in Kubernetes, the mesh sync, etc. And I don't remind that it was modifying the config, but I can double check that. If
right.
you can give me an example of what he's doing um, in Slack, I will troubleshoot that.
All right. Okay, so are we done with this, PR?
Yes, I think so. I will do a last review, but for me it's good now.
Okay, sure. I'll be online on Git then for it. All right. So another thing I didn't add it to my I guess docs, but can I ask it? Yash.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's the quick one, yes, sure. Go ahead.
All right. Is Lee sir on the meet right now? I guess he is.
Yeah. Go ahead with your question.
I had I was working with the JFrog Artifactory. I am completely new to this. Yeah, I just had a small doubt, even though it is closed, and I wrote my concern in the Git in the PR thread. But are we sure that OCI images are available for JFrog's I guess OSS edition?
No, I don't know why you're asking me. I'm
No,
not sure
yeah,
about it.
actually I didn't find it. I didn't find it. I even the Docker part was, here I research about it, so it wasn't available for OSS.
Okay,
So
great.
I guess you linked it here, so I thought it would be.
Oh, okay. I assume that it would be, but it
Uh,
sounds like not. So that's all right.
okay, so yeah, so I feel that was a part of the enterprise. That was the enterprise. It comes with an enterprise pack, I feel.
Do you
What do
feel, or
you?
do they say that? Are you certain? You're not certain. You're asking me to verify whether or not it's part of their.
No, I actually researched about it, and I'm sure that it doesn't come with OSS about this.
Okay. You're saying that their open source registry does not support OCI formatted container images. That blows my mind
Yeah, yeah.
because
While
that's what a registry is. So yeah, I that doesn't really make any sense to me at all, actually, because that's how the registry is based. It was based like that from the day that they would have created it.
all right,
Otherwise, I don't understand how
not,
it would work.
I might not get it because I'm completely new to this JFrog. But yeah, I kind of researched it, and it was popping up for Enterprise Edition. So I thought I would ask it.
Okay, maybe, yeah, I think if you have, detailed message, that would be nice if you can drop in the newcomers channel
All right,
It
so
was
that, yeah,
surprising.
okay,
thank you.
yeah. Thank you, Tejas. Yeah, we can continue on the Slack. Okay, so right now Safia and Sujal, I'll probably miss these updates. We'll get back to them once we have more time by the end of our meeting, just to ensure, because these are very small doc update. Thank you for your PRs. We'll definitely get back to them. But considering them, they only have a very few small doc changes. I'll just move forward with the Avis update, and then we'll come back by the end of uh, the meeting. Arvid, would you like to cover your update?
Yeah. Just a second. So yeah, there have been some recent enhancements done to our testing process. So I think there were some couple of items before, like doing the Meshery CTL tests and the end-to-end tests. So there's another set of tests that we continuously track, and that's the end-to-end test for UI and other parts of the project. So, and we do report them continuously, like the status of the tests on the end-to-end test status page on Meshery.io. So what we previously had an issue with was the relationship test. So we're not like completely testing the relationships that we support. So relationships are kind of a crucial part of the source that Meshery has. So you use relations to intelligently like find the connections inside your designs and like visualize them properly. So if you like go through the doc that we had just linked with the Docker. So you would see like there we are mentioning how the relationships help you understand your design and manage your design and the infrastructure overall. So they're pretty crucial part, and there were not like all of the tests were not done properly. So recently, I think in the past week we have been trying to add more tests around the relationships and also like try to make them less flaky. And so there are now like all of the main relationship types, kinds, and subtypes that we have are now continuously tested, and like every time you would make a PR, you would get a comment with the like the test report of all of the end-to-end tests, and inside the same report you will also see like how all of the relationships are behaving based on your PR. And also like whenever a PR is merged and anything is pushed to master, we also run the tests and update this page. So this page shows the latest test results of the latest current Meshery version, and so this is continuously reported here. So the thing is that like if you are a relationship contributor also and you define a new relationship, you can also use the same setup to like test your relationship. So what you usually need to do is like if you have created a new relationship, you would just create a sample design to demonstrate that relationship and put it inside the Meshery repo under the test slash relationships, and then that design would be tested continuously, and all of the relationships under that design would be tested, and we'll see like if they are continuously being up to date and working. So right now there are lots of designs from the catalog that are being tested, and so if you just the top two ones are actually failing. So where I think there's already an issue open on this permission relationship, which doesn't work all the time. So this test report also shows this that. And so these are the two relationships that are kind of broken right now, and the rest of the relationships are working right now. It's mostly the relationships that were defined for Kubernetes that have been tested, but we support relationships for any model. They are not just limited to Kubernetes. So as we mentioned earlier, that we support GCP, we support AWS, we support Azure. So relationships can be defined for those, and there are relationships for them. And then also for the other around 200 integrations that we have, or like Prometheus, Grafana, all of the other cloud native things, there are relationships for them, and they can be also tested. So this is kind of a helpful thing. If you are like working with Canvas and something is not working properly, you can go to this page and see like if whether it's actually broken or is something that might be an issue with you, and to help you like know what's happening. And yeah, you can still always raise an issue. So any questions till now?
Okay. Considering there is no question, yeah, please.
I mean, yeah, so Abid, you gotta pull in Ian. He hasn't come off mute or what have you, but you gotta make him. Otherwise,
Actually,
I'll,
I'm actually looking for some feedback from Ian. Yeah, Ian, if you are here.
Yeah, this is cool. So will we get this result on the PR itself, that table, or we have to go to the docs to see this every time it runs?
Yeah, actually, I like inside the PR comment would also see the tables. So the tables are by default kind of collapsed. But yeah, the both of the like the UI test and the relationship test, both should be inside the same comment that gets sent to any PR. Yeah, you can expand it and see the relationships. I think maybe.
Are these tests driven through the browser, or are these just how are these playwright tests kind of implemented at a high level?
Yeah, so for the test, like they actually don't need the browser in a sense, like there's not much of a UI interaction, but they are still run through the Playwright runner just for like using the same system and for the reporting and everything. So yeah, it's not like actually emulating a browser, but yeah, the test runner is still Playwright.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, it just kind of makes a network request to the evaluation handler and to just evaluate the design and see if relationships are forming. So yeah, it's not kind of a user interaction driven.
Got it. So we're pinging a server, we're getting the response back, and then we're
Yeah.
validating that against what we expect that response to be.
Yeah. So we kind of have these, all of the designs are from catalog. So we are kind of, these are like the source of truth, and we make sure like whenever we evaluate the design, we basically take the design and remove any relationships that were present inside the design, and then again evaluate it and see like after the evaluation, do the same relationships come back. So we just assert that like the same relationships are getting identified back. So this is kind of like, yeah, like more technically speaking, like this is testing the identification part of the relationship, and we might now have other tests like regarding like other features of relationships, like the mutation behavior, and like are the relationships continuously being in sync, and like other benefit features of the relationship. So yeah, right now it's like more technically we are testing the identification of new relationships.
And the systems like under test, are they when you're talking about it, sounds like we're pinging one server, and this is like multiple in the background, or like is it a true like integration test or end-to-end test, or how would we categorize that that test? So
Yeah, so right now, like we had kind of just defined a list of the tests, like the designs that we are testing, and after that, yeah, we just continuously just make the network requests inside the each test. So the tests are kind of created dynamically, and then yeah, we basically just test against the server. And right now, like I think on the local machines, is the like the workers are set to one, but I think inside the I think they we run multiple workers, but yeah, it's just yeah, kind of making a network request per test.
I guess probably a lot of nuance here. I don't know if we want to make a declaration like we differentiate between EDE and end to end. I know a lot of the UI driven, we started to mock a little bit of the flakiness out of there, so there's a little bit of integration. So there's a lot of gray area there, but yeah, I think I understand. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like because right now we mostly did like the actual complete end-to-end test with Playwright, and yeah, but not much of the integration test. But yeah, I think like Playwright also supports like integration with Jest and other frameworks. So like for I think that might be more suitable for the actual integration test, and maybe like this might like this is actually like this could have been done also in Golang and like other the other types of testing frameworks that we have. But yeah, I chose mostly like kept it in Playwright to keep it inside the same test suite, and like with that we just kind of use the same workflows and everything, so I didn't have to like create new workflows or anything else, so it was just part of the same test suite. So yeah, that was mostly the reason I kept it in Playwright right now. But yeah, I think there are some integration with Jest and other thing that might make it easier. But yeah, it's still like at the end, like these tests, actually the test case is pretty simple because we just mostly drive it through the existing designs and everything. So we don't need to like, kind of like do much tinkering with the test case. But yeah, I think if it need to be like done a bit differently, we can, because like the test case itself is pretty simple.
And do we have to use like an authenticated user to do these calls, or another test user that we're using the username and password and whatnot? How is that versus in this? I can go look at the RT. That's a question.
Actually, I'm not sure. Like your voice is pretty low. I'm not sure if it's network connection or issue with myself. But I think I just heard like the browser. So yeah, I think right now it needs to have a browser to kind of run the test. Because I think like Playwright wants that always.
Yeah, I'll take a little peek further at the code and stuff. But yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
Nice. This is Ian's voice is a little bit challenging to hear, but this is exactly why we had to have him make some remarks, because those were all excellent questions. And I think part of I think I'm on this I think I have a similar challenge in my mind that Ian was teasing out. He was saying, hey, I'm going to ask this question and it's sort of semantics and it sort of matters. And that's the categorization of the type of test, an end-to-end test, an integration test, and smoke test. Like there's a litany of them, a list. There's a stratum of them. And it is nuanced, and it's easy to fall prey to considering that a particular test classification aligns with the framework being used, and often it might, but technically it doesn't. So whether Playwright or Golang or Jest or Cypress or whatever's being used actually doesn't dictate the type of test that's being run or the class of test. And so in this case, I think Ian didn't expressly state this, I don't think, but sort of highlighted the fact that the following is true, I believe, which is that in a good way, we're expanding the investment that we've made using a particular framework, in this case, Playwright, to facilitate what seem to be two stratums or two layers of that stratum of test classifications, end-to-end tests, and I think in this case integration tests, which I think are what these relationship evaluation things are. The reason that these don't qualify as complete end-to-end is only because there isn't a visual validation at the end, but rather it's just it stops short. These tests stop short. And then, so it's like, okay, great. But like, did that really matter? Do we have to get that specific? It seems well, the reason that or off the top of my mind, one of the reasons that it matters that we would classify such tests is that, well, if you look at a test strategy, you do want to hit the code from a bunch of different angles and in different ways, and with much precision in your unit tests and with less precision more broadly in end-to-end tests or very lightly in smoke tests, like in these various ways. And to understand that and to understand what tests fall into what category are helpful to not being surprised later when a user comes over and says, well, that's weird. This test that's checkmark green, it's not, the software isn't behaving like it should for me. And it's like, well, yeah, that's understood that that's a possibility because these weren't complete end to end. Or if they are complete end to end, it's still understood that it could be a possibility that you put in like a negative value. You put in something that was otherwise have been covered by a unit test, but it isn't. And so yeah, that's we might want to, you know, if we might want to call out or highlight that.
Yeah.
So this page, I think it's titled end to end, and that's fine. Or we could, or I don't know, yeah, maybe. And that doesn't mean that we can't report these on this page. Or it doesn't. But actually, between the compatibility matrix and all of the integration tests that get run over there that are very adapter centric, and then the end to end tests here, and the addition of these new integration / end to end, you know, like, yeah, over. It's one of those things that anyone on the call can help bring these reports together, whether it's coalescing the actual test information or just organizing the pages so that they feel part of a cohesive unit of like, here's the test strategy, here's results from here's the test plans, and here's results from the test cases. And right now, I don't know that that's evident. So just adding to, just giving me some credence to part of that line of questioning that Ian was carefully asking. He was saying, you know, like there's this gray area and like, how much does it matter? So yeah, but that's wonderful. I think do you have an example of a pull request that has this additional comment? Okay. So one thing that's really nice about, and it was largely Ian, but about the work that was done on those end-to-end tests, that ultimate test result summary at the top is like, as a busy maintainer, your eyes can just lazily, you know, look at the red X, and if there's a number next to it, and then you have to pay attention to it, or otherwise you can keep going. In the same way, to the extent that either you open an issue obid for someone else to follow through on this, or if you were to follow through on just like either having a separate test result summary for those quote unquote integration tests, or if those just sort of roll up under the accounting in the overall.
Yeah, right now they just are accounted here.
Oh, they get accounted for. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I guess I have to take back what I just said. So, but they are reported separate. So relationship tests overall, and then.
Yeah, they are kind of then individually broken down, but yeah, like the overall test case are like report here, and also you might see like down here the overall because there are some test case failing for the all relationships design, so that gets also reported here. But yeah, this is kind of like an individual breakdown of actual relationships, because like in a design there might be multiple relationships. This gives you a breakdown of how each relationship is behaving.
Yeah. And here's a number these are, or if there's some way that we can coalesce these a little bit more, either the same table or this is a subtable, or update the naming of the first table, because it just, the first table says, here's the test. It's like, well, there's other tests, or are these the end-to-end tests, or are these the, you know.
Then if I see a relationship fail, like if I'm a contributor, how would I then go debug that? Is there, I know on the browser driven you have like traces, you have like screenshots and recordings that you can go look up. How do these get reported from that perspective?
Yeah, actually, I think for this one, yeah, because like there's pretty little interaction. So yeah, I'm not sure like if that gets completely reported, but yeah, we can like have like we can save the trace for like what was the design that was getting evaluated, what was the evaluation response, and like what was the error, like were the relationships or not there, or were there like mismatch or some kind of thing. Yeah, that thing gets reported inside the errors, like if some relationship is missing or some was not formed properly. But I'm not sure like if playwright is taking care of the like the network trace. But I think that's a good question for debugging. Yeah, because right now it's like only the network trace is pretty much helpful for us. Like what was the input design and what was the response, because that's the only two things that are kind of considered right now during the tests also, and there's nothing else done.
Along those same lines, there may be two other pieces of information that would be insightful for those that use this.
Yeah.
So outside of I'm going to reiterate what Ian just said, which is, okay, great. There's a red X. What if
Yeah,
anything is, yeah. And I think part of answering that is a couple of other pieces of information. So one is to understand which design was used for the, and you might have just said that,
Yeah.
but actually for us right now, it's important for us to be aware that each individual test case that's here
Yeah.
is evaluated by taking a dedicated design, one design for each test case. The designs themselves are quite small. They're intended to have an evaluation performed usually between two components, but sometimes there ends up being a third, depends on the type. So fairly small design files. Each of those design files are, in fact, examples that are used inside of Meshery docs. So to Ian's question about like, hey, well, wait, what am I supposed to do about this anyway? Or, hey, this passed, but I'm curious as to what type of evaluation this is, or what type of relationship this is, and how it visualizes, or what else it means, is to have each and every test case linked to the docs for that type, because we do have pictures and images inside the docs. And then if they're linked to the design as well, and that the design that it's linked to is a design that's
Catalog.
Yeah.
From catalog.
Published in the catalog, which will only serve to reinforce the quality of the designs in the catalog, because we'd be, and I don't mean that these are evaluating all designs in the catalog. I mean, just for the 13 or so tests that are here, that there would be 13 respective designs that are publicly available in the catalog, and that, again, sort of in part in answering Ian's question of like, well, this failed and what to do about it, or what are these things and how do I understand them? He's like, those 13 or so designs, ideally they're included in part of Meshery's onboarding of like teaching people about what these relationships are. And so at least for the Canvas extension, it has this, I think it was a getting started section, and it lists out a few. So that third hyperlink, all relationships, is an example of one of those published designs. It could be, but it could be that at the end of those 13 or so tests, that there's a perpetual 14th, so to speak, a perpetual final composite one that contains all the relationships. Because it is possible that when you evaluate a relationship in a
other one
silo,
might get missed.
when they're evaluated adjacent to one another, they might affect one another, causing a different outcome.
Yeah, complete makes sense. I think we're kind of doing that. So like I have created individual designs for all of the individual relationships. Like this is for just the alias one, this is for the parent between container and deployment, and then this is the inventory one, and then there's also I think the understanding relationships, which has all of the relationships combined. So that's also getting tested. And I'm also kind of I just dropped in the Meshery Helm chart that we have, so that's also getting tested with across all of the relationships. But and I think right now all of the designs that are here are also part of the catalog, so we can see all of the designs right from the catalog. But I think one thing that's helpful is to kind of link them back and forth from here, and also from the documentation. So I think these would be links to the catalog.
Thank you, Abid. I just have one thing. Yeah, it's just for others. There are a couple of new people here. How many of you are aware of the concept of relationship in the Meshery? Relationship in the Meshery? I just want to check. If you are not, that's fine. I just want to see how many of you are actually familiar with the relationship concept in the Meshery.
Well, I'm not. Hi, Yash, I'm not. Can you give me a quick recap about that?
Actually, like
Yeah,
I'm not sure like if this is the right time to recap, but yeah, like I think yeah, most of the new people won't be aware about relations or how they completely work. So I think there is one training session that's on YouTube that I think that gets a bit more technical at the end, like how to contribute to relationships. But yeah, you would get an overview from if you go through that
Yeah,
session, you would know like what relationships are, how they work, and yeah, if you go through the whole thing, yeah, then you would also learn how to create new ones. So yeah, I think I'm not sure, Yash, if we had posted it anywhere inside the contributing sessions, but yeah,
please can you
questions.
share the link then, Abid? That will be
Yeah, I
very
think yeah, it
helpful
was
for
done
many of us.
in one of our weekly meetings. Yeah, I will try to grab a link, and yeah, I think we should also
Yeah.
update it inside our list of training sessions.
Yeah, same. Like I just want to see if you are not aware, and if you want to get familiar, you can check out both the session that I will share if he can get the link, or check out the doc. It's a great concept for you to for your future meetings in the Mishri to learn, and also check out the Mishri Certified Contributor Program as well, certification program as well,
Yeah.
and go through their learning path. They have a pretty brief. You will find all the resources for you to learn about these kind of certain concepts, and you will also get familiar with yourself with the certification as well. So good, go and do check out that as well. Awesome. Anything else, Abid, would
Definitely.
you like to cover?
No, I think yeah, that's mostly it. Yeah, but yeah, we'll be kind of yeah testing more aspects of the relationships, like yeah, because it's the identification is just one part of it, and there is like different other stages that the relationship go through and other features, and also like yeah, the actual browser testing, because that's also needed, like if everything is working from end to end. So yeah, I think I'd like like breaking the test pyramid, like so, because like these are like kind of integration tests, so these are pretty fast. So yeah, we can like have more and more of these, and then because the end-to-end tests tend to be slower, so we'd have less of those. So yeah, we would probably increase the test case size here, so we might be testing more models. And if you are like you can contribute, like if you have a good design with some relationship, you can yeah publish that to catalog, and we can edit here to continuously test. And yeah, also like there's other thing, like you might just like if there's some good design in catalog that we want to continuously track if it's working properly, we can also drop it here. Yeah, there would be some limit, like I think if we end up having 200 300 tests, yeah, then it will start slowing down. But yeah, there's more room in these integration tests to have a larger test case size. But yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you,
Yeah,
Abid.
that's mostly.
Let me share the screen. I think the next one is about the. Yes, okay. Okay, let's next one is on the publicly reported security vulnerability. Ayan, would you like to cover it, or um, only?
Yeah, I can. And Matthew's aware of it a little bit as well. So speaking of JFrog, there's a JFrog security researcher as part of their open source security initiative that's publicly reported a vulnerability. He privately reported it on the 7th. Today is the 10th, and he publicly reported it, which pisses me off. And so I'm going to go talk to their CEO. He already apologized privately in email about an hour ago. Well, or didn't exactly apologize, but acknowledged that perhaps he shouldn't have publicly pushed it out. So Ian has pointed out this particular vulnerability
In the past, yeah.
Yeah, in the past. And he has done quite a bit of diligence on, well, trying to figure out how to not make running things securely be such a hindrance to maintainers in this case, or to other. Actually, there's a number of contributors in the community that can perform this action as well. Like the action, the proposed solution here is to have a label and to label the a pull request as being acceptable to process and run workflows against, which is to say, so to step back for a moment, the vulnerability is that within this workflow and potentially other workflows, anyone in the world can come contribute to Meshery as a project and can do devious things within the pull request that they submit. They could, if they work at it enough, they can potentially get access to some of the project's secrets that are inside of the workflow. And they can potentially do a few different things, none of which are nice and all of which are detrimental and all of which we want to avoid. Implementing security practices is most often comes at the cost of productivity or of speed by which things are done and some overhead. And it's just a continual trade-off. To date, this has never been a concern in a pull request, other than when this individual that took some willpower not to say something else, other than when this individual reported it publicly. This is the only time that we have a problem with it. And
where did these get reported publicly at?
Oh, he opened a pull request with a proposed solution.
Oh, got it. That's the public now. Okay, got it.
Yeah, he opened a pull request itemizing all of what the vulnerability is and how to exploit it, and then encouraging everyone else to go do something, and or implicitly encouraging everyone else to go do something about it. I think the intention was, I think it was well intended that he would point it out and provide a fix at the same time. The fix proposed is a pain in the rump. It is the first place that probably most of us get to in terms of how to remediate this. And that would be, well, wait, hey, do we trust this person? And so if we trust this person, then let's manually label the PR. Let's have a manual intervention, whether you're manually labeling it or you're manually clicking another button or something. This approach really sucks because it's for every stinking PR, not just like, has this person contributed before? It's now like, even when I go open one, am I part of does my PR have the label ready to run? If not, I have to go label it. Like what a massive pain in the hiney hole.
Yeah.
There are better, there are refinements to this, like, oh, well, and if the PR author is in this team, then, okay, fine, then this group gets the go ahead. Like, there's refinements out beyond a label, a different approach that Ian has previously pointed out as well. And I think Matthew and Sangram and some others are involved in trying to help us try to figure this out, is, to break up the workflow into like two workflows to help separate out access. Like the most significant concern here, I think, is, or the most readily understood and significant concern, is that people could get access to what those secrets are. They might also be able to do, like, delete some code or do maybe inject, like there's some other things that they could do that wouldn't be good. And if you separate those out into two workflows, good, you can protect the secrets. However, and this might jog Ian's memory, but it's something that he had pointed out before as well, was the nuance that the initial workflow that is triggered from the opening of the pull request, while it can go through and build, it might just perform a build of the new software artifact. Maybe at the end, hand off that software artifact, the built UI, the built server, to a second workflow that would then perform the end-to-end tests. That second workflow needs to or can only run or check out master, head on master rather. It can't check out or use the branch associated, the development branch, the untrusted branch. And that more or less, or I think I'm still working through this. My question is whether or not, so taking that approach of two workflows can help eliminate the manual overhead of having to label every single pull request and then wait for the automation to run, the build to run. The question in my mind is does that second workflow, the fact that it would run against the checkout master head on master, does that negate the value of the tests in the first place? Because the tests are intended to verify whether or not behavioral changes, have been made in the. And the reason that it's an open question in my mind is because if the first workflow that checks out the development code, if those artifacts are built, and if those artifacts are handed off to the second workflow that then runs the end-to-end test, do we still get the value out of the test? Like if the tests aren't being run against the changes in master or the code for master, but if the tests are being run against the built artifacts. And actually, I think to finalize this last question is like, I don't know necessarily that this separation into two workflows negates the open exposure, the open vulnerability that this person might have just written something nefarious into the code anyway. Maybe they're not like, and that's so.
Yeah, I think like last time when we discussed about that, like one of the ways was kind of like basically just reduce the surface area, because like the only place inside these workflows like where they can actually like hijack us is like from when we execute the user code, like in this case the end-to-end test, so just not providing any like secrets to the test. So I think that we did follow up a bit at that time and ended up creating like the test user and the provided token, so they are not like our actual secrets, so they are just like those are like okay to be exposed, kind of like just reducing the surface area a bit there. So I think I just looking at the workflow, I saw like we're still passing the GitHub token, which is pretty risky. So I don't think we actually need to have the GitHub token for the end-to-end tests, like the actual executing the test. So I kind of quickly removed them. But I think that was kind of the last time we we're looking on that road, like trying to reduce the surface area. Because the other way was like not running on master, and I think this is now the third way to kind of manually allow it to run.
So in the second workflow, not providing it with the GitHub token, the GH.
Yeah, I merged that, but so we don't provide it now.
But we don't have a second workflow just yet, do we?
No, inside the same workflow, I just removed, because we don't. I don't think we need the GitHub token for the test to run. It's only after the test we publish the report using it, so that's not user executable.
There's also a Docker Hub username and Docker Hub password. I think that those would need to be removed. I think that inherently any org level secrets are just automatically made available to the repos. And then consequently any repo level or org level secret, I think by default are just made available to the workflows. Like even though you're not expressly referencing them, I think they're just available for reference.
No, I think there's still a bit of security there, like unless you like specify for a particular step to have them, they don't get exposed inside that step.
But if
so
somebody,
here we were like manually saying GitHub token. So
but good. And then if you take that one step forward, if I'm a motivated hacker, I go look at the rest of the workflows, study them, and say, oh, that looks like that Docker password one. Yeah, I wonder if I can't just go over to the other workflow. Like just based on the fact that it's obscure and they can't see it doesn't mean that they can't call upon it and expose it.
No, yeah, I think I might be wrong there, but I think like they can't hijack the whole workflow. It's only the points where we allow them to like execute their script or something like. It's only at those stages because they can't. But I think like the whole workflow can't be run from them. It's only like where we allow them to run their script.
We go back to the PR for a second, if you would. And if
I think he
you,
here mentions like it's like in this workflow, it's the like the test execution part where they can hijack the secrets.
if you go, maybe if you go to the conversation tab, it has a hyperlink in there that says, click here to see this, an example
Yeah.
of how this has been done.
Yeah, so he kind of exposed like kind of console logged the
Passwords.
environment,
Yeah.
I think. Inside the playwrights, yes, yeah, inside this step.
But there was a list of secrets that were available, including the Docker password, Docker Hub password.
Yeah, actually, I think I didn't see that. Yeah, if that's the case, yeah, then
Try that hyperlink one more time. I don't know if it opened up to the right step. 1313.
Docker. No, actually, I don't see any Docker Hub password.
You're not signed in, are you? Or are you?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I am signed in.
Yeah, that's why we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
Yeah, let me
so,
share.
yeah. So
Yeah, this is the action that he wrote or the workflow that he ran. So inside the playwright end-to-end test step, he is kind of echoing the.
so those secrets are just available in the environment. And so
Yeah, these are like, yeah, I think this is the global environment and the GitHub action.
yeah, but it doesn't matter because they're available. And so that's a problem. There's the GitHub token. And
Yeah,
there's
this
the
one GitHub token,
Docker
the one
password.
that.
And you were not able to remove them, I don't believe, because they're just implicitly available to every workflow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, I just saw like, why is the Docker? I can't find the Docker token here.
I don't know. Just keep scrolling.
Because I thought like I was only able to find the ones that we injected, like these three and the GitHub token. But yeah, to see the Docker one, .NET, Debian. Yeah, let me actually just.
I'll have to go find it. But it's an important clarification is like, whether or not they have to be explicitly.
Yeah, because if that's the case, then we might be able to save something. Yeah, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, then we're in more trouble if everything gets exposed.
Yeah, that's a very important note.
So Ian, we're over time, and so I don't know if you've got any perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
This is
we're
Sangram. Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of all the same stuff we went through prior, and we said that the benefits outweighed the risk, at least at our certain scale and exposure. But I think it's just important to continue to be aware that it's there. As far as what we want to do for it, GitHub solution is just to check out master. I'm just thinking through if we separate it into two workflows, what if I am a contributor with malicious intent and I put a playwright section in that checks out my code, does this exact same thing, and it's going to run on push or whatever event I want it to, and I can hack that one. You know what I mean? I can hack the top level one still, even if we push it down one and it's on an event that we, are explicitly saying. So we would then have to only check out master branch, right? Even if you're doing built artifacts, I could still hack the top level workflow to put in this and exfiltrate passwords, anything else that's running in that environment, even though you're pushing down the code that's executed. Is that not a correct way to look at it, or where are my assumptions incorrect?
I don't know, but that inception type of thinking is exactly the sort of like, yeah, that sounds totally valid to me. I'll toss out one other quick potential solution that is something of a middle of the road. I think gets us to a secure place, but is a compromise, and that would be to the extent that these are separated into two workflows, that the second workflow is in fact not triggered from the first one. It is just scheduled. And it is scheduled to only run on, not to run on, it's only to run on master. But it's just scheduled separately. It's like, it's removed from the other contributor. It's got really nothing to do with them or any particular pull request. It's just a daily or an hourly or whatever. Like, anyway, that's just one other potential approach.
But playing devil's advocate, I would then take your workflow, whatever is going to check out my code, and then inject whatever steps I want in that workflow to exfiltrate anything I want. That's where GitHub is saying, well, only check out, don't check out any of the forked code, because that is where the malicious intents, that is where the threat is. Not my master, not my head, whatever, not the base. So you can always kind of play chicken and the egg there. Like, I can always hijack, if you expose a workflow that's building artifacts, to run whatever steps I want on that event.
Yeah. And I was thinking that the separately scheduled one would use sensitive credentials and things that would separate that concern, that the first one that runs on changed developer code would have limited exposure to just, but to Ian's point is like, hey, look, to the extent that I think what Ian's point is like, to the extent that just anybody can come along and is allowed to execute, like there's a workflow that is triggered, no matter what the workflow says inside of it, or how test credentials or whatever, that doesn't matter, is what he's, I think, saying. It's like you might have attempted to lock it down, but you're exposed. And like,
I guess what if we take this workflow definition and we only call a workflow that we control? So let's say we have another Meshery GitHub Actions repo, and then this one is only calling into that one, and no one has the ability to change that workflow. Then it gets around this guy's thing of injecting in like hack, right? Like that might be a way to at least decrease surface area. I don't think it gets around everything. There's probably holes there, but what about that thought? I guess again, just thinking out loud.
Yeah,
what if we lock down the workflow? Then no one can hack it, but they could probably still run nefarious Go code if we're building and running their artifact, right? Like,
I think it's a fantastic, yeah. Like that might be the thing, is because then your only exposure inside of the workflow that anyone can come along and run conveniently and contribute at any time and have tests run and results returned. Like, you get all of that convenience, and all you've exposed is a single call that uses a single credential, and that credential is like confined to being able to call, invoke, dispatch a remote workflow, and in the remote workflow, that's where all and no one else is contributing to that remote workflow. And
Yeah, so like one thing GitHub saves as a bit is like, if you edit a workflow, that workflow doesn't get run on that PR unless it's merged. So a workflow, like a user hijacked workflow, won't run until it's merged. So if I edit this workflow in my PR and run the PR, the edited one won't be run. It's only the one on the master.
But that's not true, because he this aren't we looking at a PR where he hacked it, right?
It's not true. Yeah, it's not true, because, and I don't Like it.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not.
he hacked it from the execution step of playwright. So he changed something inside inside the playwright file, inside the make file particularly.
Yeah, I have submit other PRs that have changes to workflows, and they absolutely take effect within that run.
Yeah, I think that might be due to the privilege or something. Because last time from another user, I was not able to do it, so then I need to switch accounts when I was trying to fix some workflow. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe there are some kind of different ways it works.
And I may be incorrect, but I think it was the pull request target versus pull request. One checks out the fork code, one checks out the other. I don't know if you can lock down from fork or not, but I think GitHub's answer was just check out your master if you don't want anything from a forked when you're on an open source kind of a forked workflow. But again, to your point, yeah, when does it? I think new workflows, if I stand up a new workflow, it won't show up in GitHub's actions until it gets merged. So it doesn't have any reference to that new one. I think there's some nuances there. But yeah, I think there are some cases where changes don't take effect immediately. But in this case, I think since it's established workflow and it's checking out a forked, I think those changes take effect immediately.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. Yeah. I think there's some kind of nuance there. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Yeah.
But I think moving it to a remote workflow, and this is just dispatching that workflow, may suffice, or at least make it more difficult to do some of these things. To the point of echoing out of a make file. I don't think it solves that issue. I guess, what if can you lock down the visibility of that other repo so you can't see the run, but you get the results back? I mean, that might be a way to do it, right? Like it's a private repository that only maintainers have, so you can't see the actual job summaries of your workflow, but on the PR, you're going to get the results of your playwright, but then we'd have to surface the traces and things like that differently as well. So there are some implications there, but I think that probably gets around hacking your make file to echo out any environment secrets that you have.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a nice. I think the only issue is that with the private repos, they limit the executions with actions. But yeah, otherwise, I think that was a good idea because we can then just hide the action runs and just report and send the trace or something back. Just a limited, yeah.
But yeah, and again, I don't think there's a good checks every box solution, but it might be good to weigh the, just like we did before, pros and cons it out and see what risk we're willing to, take. If we're not going to take the GitHub, only check out your code sort of, or labeling, that's the other approach, contributor groups, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. The labeling, when you combine the use of teams with it, that assuages the overhead, the issue of overhead.
Yeah.
And yeah, to the extent that this community has a healthy practice of inviting contributors to join the org with relative after them having been here not too long, also makes appeases, makes it a lesser, makes the labeling approach a lesser, that's yeah. Good. We need to find a place, like Ian said, to write down some of the pros and cons.
Yeah.
And recognize going into voting on a decision is that it's going to be a compromise, or there isn't necessarily going to be a perfect one. Because even if we have unlimited private repo build minutes, still the con of doing that separate repo is well, there's a fair bit of refactoring of and the tracing back and forth, and oh gosh, and then the limited ability for other contributors outside of maintainers with the private repo access to be able to get in there. But yeah.
Just a quick question related to that. Is there any way to validate that is not something that happened before we with some old open pull request that someone modify a file, for example, and just then close the pull request? I don't know.
Oh, to say like to have logic in there to say, hey, look, there's a handful of files that are just completely off limits. And so if those files are modified, stop the processing of the workflow like that.
For example, I don't know.
Yeah, like that seems logical to me. That's part of that can be part of a solution. Is like no changes to the make file are allowed unless the PR author is in this group team, because that's part of. Yeah. That's a great thought. I can share as well here, briefly. We're clearly over time, and if anyone needs to run because they've got something else going on, please don't hesitate. There's something. One of the this is the Meshery. This is the Meshery repo. I was intending to share like the org level configuration, and that is to say, it's going to point out where we've got configured. There's these three options as to when it is that a workflow execution is allowed to take place. Actions, general. Approval for running. So I'll take a screenshot of this and these work and these and share, because this like, hey, are they a first time contributor? So then workflow can run, or are they brand new to GitHub, or are they a first time contributor just to your stuff, or this is part of that consideration. These are somewhat, I don't know if you'd say feeble, but these are attempts to help mitigate. They only go so far. So. Good. Yeah, Yash, I mean, I'll beat it up.
Yeah. Thank you, Lee. I think there is a lot of discussion going on this, and current discussion will continue on this live. Thanks for joining us today. I think we mostly covered most of the items. Just in case if we missed any item, we'll definitely try to cover next week. And thanks for joining us. And yeah, see you next week. If there is any urgent item, let me know. Other than that, we can drop now. Thank you.
Hey guys, about the link thing, just a quick thing I would like to say. I'll definitely reach you on the Slack.
It's
I
already
hope
there.
people are available to answer my questions.
We already dropped the link to the relationship.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'll reach out on Slack if I have any questions. Thank you, Lee.